crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here to share my design team video for Tupelo Designs LLC. In my recent design team package, you may remember that I picked up this Your Next stamp set. I had picked it up thinking that I was going to use it for the Holiday Coffee Lovers blog hop, and that's exactly what this card will also be a part of. And it had some really cute mugs in it. I particularly like the penguin mug, and so that's going to be the one that I use today. I started off though by taking a circle die and trying to figure out about what size I would need so that I could leave a masked off area for the cup. I'm going to use the penguin cup, but the same die would work for both of them, and it's easy with the clear stamps to just place it around that backing image there. So I cut this mask out of Ink-a-Dink-a-Doo stamping mask paper because it will easily lift off without damaging my paper, yet is durable enough to last through a few stampings. Now I am ready to stamp some of the other images from the stamp set. The other images in the stamp set are meant to be cookies that you can put on the plate with, again, maybe some creative masking, and I'm probably going to give a shot at using them in their traditional way, but I thought they would be fun to create a background as well. And at first I got out all my little Hero Arts ink cubes thinking I would just sort of selectively find which ones I wanted to use, but I remembered, I have these Hero Arts ombre pads, and one of the most common ways that I use them actually is to have multiple colors of in the same range. So I have like multiple colors of red in one ink pad, and that allows me to get a little bit of variation and having some options. So I like to use them as ombre as well for like a larger stamp, but I also find that they're great to use just for like solid stamping and when you want to get a coordinated group of the same color. When trying to stamp a background, my recommendation is always to start in the center. And when you're using the masked off area, you could choose to let some of your objects overlap. But in this case, I just picked quite a few different little stamps, knowing that I could sort of fit them in together. Like having that nice narrow candy cane means it's going to be able to fit in some spaces that the bigger, rounder heart won't fit in. And also, for the green, I'm just going to be using the tree, and I'll be using two different colors of green to make sure that the colors don't blend it as much and get more of a true dark and a true light green. What I have off to the side is just a little piece of scratch paper, and I am stamping off in between stamping. So if I use the light color and or if I'm using the dark color and want to switch back over to the light color, I just stamp off a few times, and I do the same thing when I'm using the reds. If I have the dark color on there and I want to switch to the lighter color, I just stamp off first, and that helps to get things cleaned up and ready to go so the colors are a little bit more true and crisp. As you can see, I kind of slowly work my way out. I think about how I want to position each object, and I also think about the colors that are going on. I don't want too much red or too much green in any one place, but yet I still have to make sure that the colors are the objects are spread out. So also I don't want to get the same red, since I'm using a dark red and a light red. I don't want either of those to be too often in the same place. So I'm just continuing to mix it up until I have that whole area filled, and then I'll be able to peel up my mask and stamp my penguin cup. I'm going to be coloring this in Spectrum Noir colored pencils, so I'll be stamping in the My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink. The My Favorite Things ink is one of the best, most versatile inks out there because you can color with Copics, colored pencils, or watercolor, all with the same ink. So if you're only going to have one black ink, it's probably the one to have. However, I of course use VersaFine all the time, and will use it again in this video. So I've stamped my penguin, and I was thinking about where my sentiment might go ahead of time too, so that I can kind of keep all that in mind. But now I'm ready to move on to the coloring, and here I have the Spectrum Noir Marine set. I did recently pick up some Prismacolor pencils, and they're very similar. What I'm going to do with the Spectrum Noir colored pencils, which in some ways they have some positive features over the Prismacolor pencils, because you don't need to worry about what colors blend well together. The Spectrum Noirs give you little groups of 3, And so I have 3 grays without even having to think about it, and I know 3 grays that will work together because they are featured together in the Spectrum Noir Marine set. And so what I started off doing was laying on a really light coat of the lightest gray, and then I'm going to just basically build up my color. So I went in with the lightest, very, very light touch in the center. I've been sharing this a lot lately, that by making the very lightest bit in the center, barely bringing my colored pencil or marker to that area has really helped me to keep a brighter highlight. And so I'm using that technique again today. As I start to layer on the color, I find that I need to add a little bit more pressure. And once I have added the darkest color, I go back to the medium, and the colored pencils help blend each other. So using the lighter colored pencils starts to blend it out. However, if you feel like you want a little bit even more of a blended look, you can use a colored pencil blender like the one that I have here, or the Gamsol, which is available in the Tupelo Designs LLC shop. Both ways work just as well. It's just a matter of personal preference in which you have. While I am finishing up this coloring, I did want to mention that Tupelo Designs is running an awesome special this month where all shipping is free on any order over $15, which is pretty crazy and generous because a lot of times you have to get a much higher total to get to the free shipping. So if you need to pick up anything last minute, Tupelo Designs LLC is the place to go because you don't have to place a big order to get the free shipping. Also, a lot of the Christmas stuff is already on sale, so if you're thinking about building up your Christmas card stash earlier next year, you can start picking up some of the Christmas things that have already been available. I felt like my dark areas weren't quite as dark and that my penguin was reading more gray than black, and so what I chose to do was continue to layer a little bit more of those darker colors and went into the Spectrum Noir packs to find what was considered a more true black and layer a little bit more on there. What's nice about them is that you can continue to layer color over time. Once I have my whole penguin mug colored, I am ready to mat it on some cardstock. To make coordinating cardstock, you've seen me do this quite a few times. I just take an ink pad and run it along the edges. So if I use this same red color on the card, I can run it along the edges of this piece of cardstock that's slightly bigger, and it will make sure that everything coordinates perfectly rather than trying to dig through a stash of papers and find the same exact red. I know that a lot of companies sell their paper that coordinates with their ink pads, but often they're not actually that close of a match, and you'd probably be better off when you only need a small bit doing a technique like this. And I do the same thing with a strip of a paper and the green because I want the green that the sentiment goes on to match perfectly with the ink that I used. I'm going to stamp this in VersaFine Onyx Black ink so that it will look like it is black heat embossed, but really it's black ink with clear embossing powder. And before I stamp it down, I took a powder tool and ran it over. Something like cornstarch would work similarly. It's just something to make sure that the that the embossing powder doesn't stick in the wrong place. However, because you did run ink over that strip, it is important that it is completely dry, or the embossing powder will also stick to the wet green ink. So I definitely made sure to hit that with a heat gun before I brought it over to get stamped. And now I'm using my Teflon bone folder to make a really clear and fine fold on the card. I really like the way that the Teflon bone folder helps to get a crisp fold without wrinkling the cardstock too much. It doesn't leave any shine. Finally, I'm finishing it off with the Irresistible Pico Embellisher in the Sparkle. It's basically like adding Wink of Stella and Glossy Accents in one step. However, it is a little bit runnier than Glossy Accents, so it might take some practice to get used to. And with that, that is it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, including my Tuesdays with Tupelo feature, please subscribe to my channel. And you can find links to the Tupelo Design store in my video description below, as well as to the Coffee Lovers blog hop, so you can check that out. Thanks for watching. Bye.